Welcome to Jobs and Pods, the only podcast where real employers talk about their jobs and tell you what it's like to work there. I'm your host, Peter Clayton. Today's Jobcast features finance and careers within the Johnson & Johnson family of companies. Employees of the Johnson & Johnson companies work with partners in healthcare to touch the lives of over 1 billion people every day throughout the world. Johnson & Johnson companies are currently hiring for financial analysts, and joining us now to discuss these roles is Don Kohlhepp, Director of Finance, Learning, and Development. Don, welcome to Jobs and Pods.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little more about the Johnson & Johnson family of companies?
When you think about Johnson & Johnson family of companies, you should think about a mutual fund in human health care. You probably know us about the Johnson & Johnson baby products, Band-Aids, baby shampoo, and so on. And that's really part of our consumer business, but it only represents 25% of the total company. We are the 6th largest pharmaceutical company, and we're the largest medical device company with a full range of products from joint replacements to our AccuView contact lenses. We're over 250 operating companies located in 57 countries around the world.
Don, can you describe some of the core values of the Johnson & Johnson companies for our audience?
Really, the foundation of Johnson & Johnson family of companies is the credo. It's who we are as an organization. There are 4 tenets to the credo. The first one is the customer. The second is the employee. The third is the community. And the fourth and last is the shareholder. It was written by the founder's son over 60 years ago. And if you realize the order, you look at it, the shareholder does come in last, because we feel that if you fulfill the first 3 tenets of the credo, the customer, the employee, and the community, the outcome will be a fair profit for the shareholder. It's really our guiding light for doing the right thing. And even in finance, as you go through multiple analysis and look at options and recommendations to move forward on some business decisions, we always end up saying at the end, well, what's the right thing to do? And sometimes it's driven by the numbers, but other times it may be driven by our customer or the key tenets of the credo.
Don, how does Johnson & Johnson create a small company feel inside such a large organization?
That's a good question that we always get at times with many of our recruits. One of our strategic principles is decentralization. And decentralization is defined as being close to the customer, as I mentioned before, which is the first tenet of our credo. We are really 250 companies, and as a result, it creates a small company atmosphere. But the large organization helps us diversify our risk, like a mutual fund, as I mentioned before. It also helps us fund new business opportunities. And from a career standpoint, if you think about 250 operating companies in 3 major business segments in healthcare, it's going to offer you many career opportunities within a family of companies.
And what is the primary role of a financial analyst or a senior financial analyst at Johnson & Johnson companies?
If you think about finance overall, it's really a unique opportunity because finance is the foundation and numbers are the language of business. In the finance department within an operating company, we're kind of aligned to an income statement. So you have sales, we have sales analysis, you have cost of sales, we have cost accounting, you have marketing expenses, we have marketing finance, you have administrative expenses, we have financial accounting, which supports the administrative functions of the organization, but also does the actual reporting as well. You have research and development, you have research accounting, and you have tax accounting. So as a result, there's going to be many developmental opportunities within all areas of the business. I take most pride in the fact that we are grounded by the fact that we want to ensure financial integrity and compliance. At the Johnson & Johnson family of companies, we report financial results, not manage financial results. You will not see Johnson & Johnson in any restatements and headlines in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times because we have a strong tradition of internal controls.
So I imagine you get this question a lot. What kind of career path can a financial analyst expect when they come to work for one of the Johnson & Johnson companies?
A career path includes lateral rotations through various departments and business segments based on the performance and business needs. For example, I've been with Johnson & Johnson family companies for over 30 years, but I've had 15 different jobs in 8 different operating companies. So you have a chance to grow and develop but instead of moving around between different companies, you're able to stay with one company such as Johnson & Johnson because it offers multiple opportunities. You will have core accounting responsibilities such as closing the books, doing journal entries, completing balance sheet reconciliations, and developing departmental budgets. But in the areas that you support, you get a chance to do some project and financial analysis. Like, for example, in marketing finance, I had an opportunity to do some return on investment on advertising and promotional spending. In operations, you have the ability to do some make versus buy analysis as to where to manufacture new products. And in research, I know there's been projects that I've worked on where you need to evaluate where you should direct or eliminate funding on some new projects. And in sales analysis, you have a chance to look at the market share, the competitors, and also assist in help forecasting sales for the quarter, the year, and also 10 years, which is part of our annual strategic planning process. So it's all grounded by the fact that you really need to have an opinion and offer an opinion about the business, but it should be based on facts and relevant data. You're not really sitting on the sidelines and answering questions when finance questions come up. You need to be on the field playing and participating in the business decisions.
Don, what are the inherent attributes of a successful finance professional at J&J?
Peter, a successful finance professional at Johnson & Johnson needs to have the ability not only be a financial leader, but a business leader providing analytical and technical skills. Everybody brings their certain skill set to the table, and we have a unique position in finance is that if we understand the business, we can anticipate changes in the business and at the same time translate those changes into financial implications. We also need to realize we have to know what's important. It's important to make sure you're aligned, people that are aligned with both your supervisor as well as your business partner. And lastly, a key attribute is framing. And framing is the ability to put information into context to make it richer or more meaningful. Exceptional financial leaders have the ability to make the complex clear and compelling to all levels of the business.
What kind of support tools do J&J companies provide for their financial analysts?
The support tools, I believe, is based on three rights. You have a right to know your goals and objectives and how you're being evaluated on. You also have a right to know your performance against those objectives, and you also have a right to receive feedback on how to improve your performance. We provide some guiding principles by the Global Leadership Profile, which defines the skills and behaviors of superior performers. It really guides you in how you should do your job. In addition to that, Pete, we also provide mentoring once you come on board into Johnson & Johnson. We have an onboarding program. We have a chance to come to world headquarters in New Brunswick to find out more about some of the tools that we are available, and that's offered twice a year. And in addition to that, we have selected training programs to work on skills that are required for further development based on your feedback from your supervisor as well as your business partners.
One last question for you, Don. What advice would you give to experienced financial analysts who might be considering a move to a Johnson & Johnson company?
I think regardless of whether it's Johnson & Johnson or wherever your career may take you, you really need to have a passion in whatever career you choose. And the passion really needs to be centered around knowing the business in the area you support, and whether it's in the administrative areas such as information technology or finance, or even if you're supporting a quality assurance area in operations or the legal department or the human resource area. They all have a business and they all support the overall success of an organization. In your job, you need to understand not only what you do every day, but why you are doing it. If you know the why, it will lead to being more efficient and effective in completing the job, along with identifying ways to make the assignment more efficient, effective, or eliminate some tasks that bring no value to the organization.
Well, I think that's some really great advice. We've been speaking today with Don Kohlhepp, who's the Director of Finance, Learning, and Development at the Johnson & Johnson Companies. That will do it for this edition of Jobs and Pods. To apply for financial analyst jobs at the Johnson & Johnson family of companies, please visit them online at careers.jnj.com. For more jobcasts like this, visit jobsandpods.com. And don't forget, you can also subscribe to our jobcasts on iTunes. Just do a keyword search on